Yo, what's going on?
Shoot, not too much. Here, let me just get my stuff situated here. I'll be trying to keep my outlet out. I'll be sitting on the floor, as everybody knew from the first episode, but this is a comfortable corner here. Had to turn the light on because it's about to storm out in this joker. Like
it ain't stormed already.
I mean, I'm talking about like all day though. Like,
I looked at the report. It's supposed to stop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me this morning. I ain't gonna front.
Yeah. Lightning woke me up this morning.
I'm in Chicago, but you're right. I'm in Chicago, but we're not. We're quarantine. We're quarantine recording. You know, so I'm at my folks' crib. Camp is at his crib, so that's why when you say did it storm? Because it stormed over here. I was scared, and I ain't gonna front. I woke up like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah, no, it's I'm up early anyway. I mean, you already know this. I slept in today, 5:30. You know what I'm saying? So I slept in at 5:30 today, and then I tried to lay back down, and as soon as I did, it was like a flash of lightning that hit through the window that hit my eyes, and I was like, oh, and then oh shit, it's gonna do that right now. And then it looked like it's been storming off and on, but I mean, I don't know. Meteorologists, you tell me. I think it's gonna do this all day. Like, it's the kind of clouds that look like this is an all-day thing. But if it do clear up, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying?
I got to get on the plane today, so
yeah, that's true. I mean, you need it to clear up.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the joint. It says now it is 73 degrees. A high of 88 is expected here in the Chicagoland area. The rain is supposed to have stopped.
Okay.
It's supposed to be cloudy though. And then once 3 o'clock hit, the sun's gonna come out. It's gonna be partly cloudy. I should be on the airplane about 7 o'clock p.m. tonight, going back home. I'll surprise my folks for their birthday. You know, so this has been a good weekend, but it is now time for First Black Champ, and I'll let Kemp give the introduction like he always do.
Yeah. Hey, good day to all of you. It is morning right now as you're watching this video, but whenever you decide to check this out on any of the platforms that exist where we are, we thank you in advance. It is now time for the First Black Champ podcast, and I'm Camp from the Port.
And I am J.R. Bank. Make sure you rate, like, subscribe, download the two. Barbershop Digital, the home of First Black Champ. Make sure you rate. Go up if you're an Apple Podcast listener. Make sure you go ahead and rate. We're going to take your rates. We're going to put it on our social media. Let the people know why you mess with First Black Champ, whether you mess with it or you don't mess with it. We're going to put it up there just to let the people know that you're still talking about us. All right. Also, the merch, teespring.com/stores/first-black-champ, or following us on Instagram at fbc.pod. You can click the link in the bio, get your merch right now, 10% off of all purchases. Okay.
We got masks, ho.
That's what I'm about to say. We got masks, ho. Shouts out to a couple of people that's already purchased their mask. Shouts out to Travell. I had linked up with him yesterday. He had brought me some El Gran burrito. You know what it is. I need that when I'm out at the crib. But he bought his mask, so his is on his way. Put that champ on your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Let the people know when you got that mask on, they look at your mouth. You represent First Black Champ. All right. So make sure you go ahead and get your mask, get your hoodies, get your Scullies, get your hats, your dad hats, your snapback fitteds with all that stuff. Get your merch, man.
Right, yeah. Get that First Black Champ merch.
All right. It's FBC10. That's the code, FBC10. So make sure you go ahead and cop that. We have a special guest that's coming on the show today because I think the go home week was weak for the WWE.
Okay.
I am going to give a quick rundown on what happened last night at Impact Slammiversary, because there was a lot of stuff that went down actually yesterday. First off, the Good Brothers appeared in Impact Wrestling. Really? Eddie Edwards. Yeah. So they went to Impact. Eddie Edwards is the new champion. It was Slammiversary last night was we're here. Surprise. We're here.
Okay.
That's what that was last night. So, for example, Eddie Edwards defeated Rich Swann. A cat named
Rich Swann working.
Rich Swann over at Impact. He do his thing too, but he was over there as the fifth competitor. The fourth competitor because of that whole spilling in the hearts a couple of weeks ago with a lot of wrestling people. Michael Elgin was one of the people that was in the championship match, but I'm gonna take you out. But then they was like, it's gonna be a fifth competitor, and that fifth competitor was an Impact legend. I would say a TNA Impact Hall of Famer, Eric Young. Eric Young returned.
Oh wow! Oh man! Shout out to them.
Yeah,
shout out to all the furloughs and controversials that have found a new home in Impact, man.
Exactly. The Good Brothers are over there as well. After the match, Ace Austin and some cat was beating his ass, and then they came through. But then, as they drunk beer and the show went off, the camera apparently goes off, and EC3 pops up.
Wow.
And EC3 has a new character. If you haven't seen it on social media, where it's controlling the narrative is his thing. For those who don't know, I've said it here on the show. Let EC3 cook.
Yeah.
Because in Impact, he was cooking. He's a former champion. And he was doing his thing. I don't know if he's going to be EC3 or Ethan Carter III. I don't know how the WWE has did with their copyright.
Right.
But yeah, he's back. And it looks like he's gonna go straight to the top at that bitch too.
So so now help me out here, and help me and the people that's like me, but don't want to admit that they are like me out here. All right, okay, if I can say that right.
Yeah.
All of those WWE superstars, now former superstars, obviously that wasn't their origin home, but they opted to go to Impact versus AEW.
All right, so some of those people that went over there had a home at Impact already.
Okay.
Like Ethan Carter III, EC3, left the WWE. Well, he was future endeavored when he was with the WWE as Derek Bateman.
Mm-hmm.
And he went over to Impact Wrestling as Ethan Carter III. He was supposed to be Dixie Carter's nephew.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, Dixie Carter was the former owner of TNA Impact Wrestling. And he really started to shine. Like a lot of that C3 character, part of it was Ethan Carter III because he was rich, affluent, and everything. But the other part of it is they kind of made him corny. They kind of made him like Derek Bateman meets Ethan Carter III. And I didn't even like that. Like EC3 is great on the mic to me. And they didn't use that. And I think this one is from what it looks like, this one's gonna be a bit darker version of that character. Okay. Control the narrative. He's really just out there just gonna be trying to fuck niggas up. So you got somebody like him. Luke Gallows went to Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson was both with TNA. They was with I forgot the name of the group that quick. Don't get mad at me. I'm looking it up real quick because I can't believe I forgot it because it was on my mind this morning to talk about and I didn't put it in the notes. But
because I got to give you the Twitter wrestler stand question after you go through your history. Though I want you to specifically go through your history because I got to play wrestling tip Twitter stand. And we got to ask the hard-hitting questions here after you run down the history of all of these gentlemen that are now back in Impact. So
yeah, hold on for a second. It was basically like Sons of Anarchy.
Okay,
it was like the Sons of Anarchy group. That's why I'm like, shit. I can't believe because I like these. I liked them too.
Okay.
Aces and Eights. Yes. Aces and Eights. That
was a movie too, wasn't it?
Nah. But it was basically like a playoff for Sons of Anarchy.
Okay.
Like they were that's what they was. Bully Ray was the president. They had soldiers and all that stuff. Like it was basically like a biker group, my G.
Okay.
So yeah, so like Luke Gallows was a former member of Aces and Eights. So once he left the WWE, he spent time at Impact, and then he went over to Japan. And that's when he linked up with Carl Anderson. Yes. And then they came over, they did that thing over there, you know what I'm saying? Bullet Club. And then they brought themselves over to the WWE.
Yes.
So basically that's like home. All right, let's go back to the crib. But it was an interesting conversation that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson had. I forgot what podcast it was, so excuse me. But they talked about how they were originally supposed to go to AEW. But then Triple H had that Batista conversation with them, basically. Come over here and make more money than you will ever make in your life, set your kids up for life type shit. You know what I'm saying? And they signed the deal to go there, and then they re-signed. But AEW and some of the homies at AEW was pissed off at them about going to the WWE. But that's like Holmes. Heath Slater appeared last night at Slammiversary. Talked this shit, you know what I'm saying, a little bit. Remember, Rhino is over there. And remember, him and Rhino was tag team champions. So, and then Deanna Peruzzo, she actually wrestled Jordan Grace last night. I believe that she was severely underused in the WWE. And when I mean severely underused, I mean severely, like near death underused, malnourished underused. So she goes to Impact and she defeats Jordan Grace for the Impact Women's Championship.
Oh wow!
First night. Wow, yeah, I'm talking about G. Severely underused. I thought they was gonna do something with her and Chelsea Green, and make them a tag team, but I don't know what the fuck happened. But she won that title last night. So you know, a lot of folks 90 days are over with. And I think you're going to see more people pop up at these wrestling organizations, because now their 90-day no compete clause is over with. But then, as I had said before, the pandemic might seem to hurt now, but I think it's going to be good in the long run for wrestling, because everybody can't be stacked at the WWE, man. They can't. Right. And I know that people complain, they bitch, moan, and complain. Yeah, the WWE underused people. Boom, boom, boom. We actually talk about that in a second. But yeah, man, like everybody can't be the champ there.
Right. And let me get my question. But Bang, what is everybody doing going to Impact? I mean, AEW is the new wave. They're the #1 brand in wrestling right now. Why would you waste your time going to fucking TNA? Like, why don't you just go to AEW and get with the ship that's already sailing? They're going to take off, and they're going to be bigger than WWE in less than 5 years now.
Because everybody has said they was going to be bigger than the WWE after 5 years, and that shit's never happened. That's one. Two, and even more importantly, like, there's the great thing about what we're seeing right now is that you can go places.
Yeah.
You ain't just gotta go, like, if you get fired from Best Buy, you ain't just got Circuit City to go to.
Yeah.
You know, and it makes the products all around stronger. Like that pay-per-view, I ain't see nothing but clips from last night's pay-per-view. Shouts out to Dashing Chris Bay. He won. He defeated Willie Mack last night to become the X Division champion. So that's right.
My uncle know.
Right. So I mean, he probably looks like your uncle too, because he looks like one of mine. But you know, there's like Dashing Chris Bay ain't got to go to the WWE just to feel like, you know, he made it. Yeah. Like he matters, and he didn't have to go to AEW either. Like there's room for everybody in wrestling. It might not be room for you in AEW. It might not be room for you in the WWE, but there's room for everybody, and there's a chance for you to get seen. Like, I mean, Impact is on TV. MLW got to deal with the Zone, and they got the YouTube platform and everything, and they on TV. WWE, AEW on TV. Like that's the great part about this, where you can go look and find wrestling on TV. Matter of fact, I didn't get a chance to talk about it much last week, because we just went straight in. But I don't know how I was asleep on this, but Pluto TV, and it's free. It's an app. If you got a smart TV, you could download the app on your smart TV. You could download it on your computer. You could go to it on your computer. You could download the app. Nas was one of the first like investors in there, I think I heard. But anyway, like they got a whole bunch of channels on that bitch. Not just your local channels, but a whole bunch of random ass channels. I watched American Gladiators for a full week. They got American Gladiators champion. I watched that shit for a full week. But they also got an Impact they got an Impact Wrestling channel. So I was on that bitch watching the Asylum matches. I was on that bitch watching, you know, some of the stuff from last year or whatever. The six-sided ring. I was watching shit with that. It allowed me to catch up on some of the shit that I missed in wrestling. This wrestling out here, ladies and gentlemen.
Word.
So you ain't gotta go just to AEW. You ain't, and then we don't come. I mean, other than that part, you can still DVR it. Like the one thing I could say about the Nitro era and the WWE era is that I wish that DVR was there. Because then I could watch one and DVR the other instead of like, oh shit, I gotta miss it. And maybe both will still be here. So for those who miss WCW, like I do miss WCW, I mean the good thing about it is now we don't have to fall victim to the shit that happened beforehand, because hey, we can go watch all of these shits and not feel like we have to hold allegiance to one. Them just nerds and shit. And people that don't get pussy. I've said this on the show. Like if you're that person that's like fuck WWE, I'm gonna watch AEW all my life, or vice versa. Like you don't get pussy.
Yeah.
Like so stop it. Like you don't get pussy. And like you masturbate to anime. That's what you probably do. You probably just masturbate to anime, and that's the closest to pussy you're gonna get. But yeah, but it was good seeing all those people pop up. It makes me more interested in the brands. So yeah, but speaking of underused, think you saw on Twitter this weekend, Naomi deserves better. It came about because Naomi lost to Lacey Evans on SmackDown Friday, and people were a bit upset. Leo Rush, and I agree with Leo here. Okay. Like Naomi should be a 10-time champion right now.
Okay.
I agree with him. Like I mean, I'm not gonna say 10-time, but she should be a very much multiple-time world champion. Let's just put it like that. Big Swole, she went out on Twitter. She said some things. Somebody tweeted, and I hate when these fans do that shit. Well, you're way better than her. She's like, nah, I'm not even on Naomi's level, fam. Like, but I just know that she deserves better. Right. And I will say this. I agree. I normally don't try to agree with these marks, but and maybe this goes to what I said about there's too many. And I think, in my opinion, that this is a great conversation for women's wrestling. Okay. You never had it when you was like, this person deserves better. But it wasn't just because of the talent, and they're doing like bra and panties matches. Right. Nah, you got Sasha Banks, you got Charlotte Flair, you have Bayley, you have Becky Lynch when she comes back. Right.
Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross.
You have a lot of women that are good in the E right now. Yeah. I'm not saying I hope she leaves, because I don't. But when she's losing matches like that, it's like it's one of the reasons why I believe there should now be, because we got the talent to do it, there should be a mid-card championship for women. Okay. There should be. That's one. And two, just because you talented that don't mean they got something for you right now.
Right, absolutely.
So do your thing. And when it's your time, it's your time. It just don't help that she's like one of 2 black women on the roster.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
So I was trying to look at this hashtag a little deeper, but I ended up falling asleep last night. But I'll say this. I want to give a different perspective because I do agree with the narrative and what is being said so far about how Naomi is a lot greater than what she's being utilized as. But it was under my impression, because I follow her on like Instagram specifically, that she got a lot of personal shit that she's dealing with, and I think she's doing this to be seen. So, you know, like because I believe she lost a cousin. I think she had surgery and like so like, you know, like wrestling related injuries. We can't forget about everything with Jimmy Uso. I think she was really focused on putting out like music or dancing or something as well. Like I'm totally with y'all, but I think Naomi is just trying to keep her appearances up to let y'all know that she's still out here while she's still out here. I think she's really dealing with life, and wrestling is like, hey, yo, I'll be right back. Like, I'll be right back.
Oh, man, I agree with that, too.
Okay.
This is one of those situations where one thing, it could be multiple things right.
Right.
Yeah. Because I do remember that. I do remember when, like, it was a long Instagram post and she was talking about all of the things, you know, that was going on. So I agree with you on that. Like, there could be multiple things right here and not one thing wrong at the same time. Like, I don't look, I'm not a Lacey Evans fan.
Yeah.
Anyway. But even with Lacey, like, just because I'm not the biggest fan, that don't mean like I wish you like lose every match.
Right.
But like her, I guess it's an apparent heel turn.
Okay.
It just didn't look right to me. Like they had this weak ass karaoke shit. Naomi wins the karaoke shit.
Right.
And then she gets jumped by Lacey Evans because she lost the karaoke shit. Yeah. So I guess that's her way of turning heel. Which, I mean,
dude, being the MAGA wife is a heel. Like, that's a heel character. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So now, hear me out here.
Excuse me.
This is why I wish she should just go full MAGA.
Word, yeah, absolutely.
Like, just go that character. Don't try. I mean, I ain't saying that she got to have "Make America Great Again" on her tights.
Right.
But
hell, she dressed like it.
She already dressed like it. Mm-hmm. So now hit us with the you people a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like, hit us with a couple of you peoples.
Yeah.
Like, but mean everybody.
Right.
You just to mask it that she ain't just talking about Sasha.
Hey, right. Hey, like, it's so many international superstars right now that she really would be talking about everybody.
Thank you.
Like, she'd be talking about Nia Jax. She'd be talking about Nikki Cross.
Yep.
Becky would be in it. Oscar would be in it. Kyrie saying, like, everybody, when she says you people from a MAGA standpoint, it really do mean everybody else on the roster. So, yeah.
Hell, I was thinking that when she first came in this bitch, I was like, man, she probably about to hit niggas with the you people shit. Okay, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know. No, because I'm a Marines mom and all this shit.
Right.
Like nigga, y'all don't support the troops. Y'all don't support the first responders.
Right.
Fuck y'all. You people are the reason why.
Mm-hmm. Right. You know what I'm saying? Show her at Target refusing to put a mask on and shit. You know what I mean? Get fully in that MAGA shit. Be like, I don't need a mask. You're a nasty. Yeah. And then she has like her little handkerchief out and shit. I don't want anything from your filthy hands. Where's your manager?
Man, let's go full all in. But to transition it, because we got a special show today.
Yeah.
The guest is coming up. We're gonna come up around 10:30, 10:45ish around that time. But there's also been a lot of talk about Black representation in wrestling. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find this post from Big Swole, because I thought it not only was it interesting. See, I got to stay away from the Explore page.
yeah. A lot of it's a cornucopia of loveliness on everybody's Explore page, and I know I'm not liking that much for it to be flooded with that.
Right, like I know I'm not. I know I even deleted some of these pages.
I mean, I guess I need to start sponsoring my posts just to see some other shit.
Yeah, man, look, that shit, fam. Like, I ain't hit the like button, but I did look at it a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got to. You gotta get a nice healthy combination of both.
Yeah, she was bad too. She had some eyes on her.
Yo, man, hey, B. Simone has a sister that looks like the large version of her. And when I say large, like her booty is bigger, her thighs are thicker. She has like her lips and her face, like she's gorgeous. And I was like, oh, wow, your parents made another one of you? Damn. But it's like the version I would marry in a heartbeat.
Damn.
I don't know if she do comedy or anything, but she's gorgeous.
Does she like niggas with 9 to 5s?
Man, I don't know. You know what? I mean, I don't think that they well, I shouldn't say this because this would be playing into B. Simone's trap here. I was like, I think she's a regular person, but everybody's a regular person. They just choose different career paths. So yeah, but you know, I mean, hey, she hasn't been able to be interviewed, so you know, I guess we won't know that until somebody decides they want to talk to her.
Man, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. I was happy to see that.
Yeah, that
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Big Swole ain't bad. I mean, not Big Swole, but B. Simone ain't bad herself. I have it right here. She took the Twitter,
Dallas, Texas.
That man, yes. She took the Twitter to talk about her life as a Black professional wrestler, and it was some of the shit that I read. I was like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, in my opinion, it was confirmed. It basically confirmed some of the things that, you know, I figured.
Okay.
Here. And it's one of those things where it's wrestling. We know what wrestling is.
Mm-hmm.
We know wrestling is a MAGA sport. All that shit.
Believe it. Yeah.
We like wrestling, but some cases it might not necessarily be for us or by us. But I'm gonna read part of this letter, man. Well, no, I can read this whole thing.
Okay.
The title of the letter is "We Just Want to Be Heard," and I think this is a case where everybody wants to be heard, and this is an opportunity for folks to be heard. Okay. But when I read this, I said, you know what? I don't even know how you fix this in wrestling. Here we go. The conversation that has been told but never heard is finally here. Imagine expressing your innermost concerns and having them fall on deaf ears for decades. Imagine being told, I already have enough blacks on my roster. This is what it is like being a Black professional wrestler.
Wow.
The keys to Black wrestlers' success has always been dangled up high, but just close enough to give hope. Like the aliens looking at the claw in Toy Story. Wow. Every once in a while, one reaches the claw, but then the cycle starts all over again. We kind of talked about that and alluded that shit when Kofi Kingston won the title.
Yeah.
To keep going, why is it that Black people dominate and excel in other participated sports except for wrestling? I have an answer to that.
That's what Cody said, wasn't it?
Huh?
That's what Cody asked a minute ago, right?
Yes, and I got an answer to that. But I'm gonna keep reading this. What is it about this profession that is different from the inner workings of other professional sports? I got an answer to that.
Right. Yeah, that's an easy answer. That's an
easy answer to that. One of the main issues is there are people in this business who actively try to deter the careers of Black wrestlers. Whether it is intentional or unintentional, it has happened. And when someone speaks up about the ongoing racism, crickets and shaming follows. Black wrestlers are being cut off at the knees. I love that because that's a line I usually use. Cut them off at the knees, little nigga. Black wrestlers are being cut off at the knees to fit the mold that is deemed acceptable in order to place price on worthiness. Years of hard work has accumulated into a position where the shut up and color customs are consolation prizes. There have been outpours of mistreatment and discrimination, but again, crickets. The time for listening, hearing, comprehending, advocating, and allying is now be the change. Let me go to this first question, Camp from the Port. Make sure y'all follow us on fbc.pod. Make sure you get that merch, 10% on all purchases. Shouts out to Barbershare Digital. Why is it that black people dominate and excel in other participating sports except for wrestling? Well, here's my answer. And I don't know if it's wrong or not. I don't know if it's right or not. But here's what I see from my seat. It is predetermined, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Simple as that. It's predetermined. This is not basketball where basketball, as we had a long conversation about last night, where the talent is always going to rise to the top. Right. LeBron, Michael Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Dr. J. There's only one person I named that was white.
Yeah.
Not saying that they ain't talented white basketball players. I just said that I ain't named nobody but Larry Bird that was white.
Right.
Matter of fact, I think in the years of watching basketball, the only time that I've ever seen a white person win a championship in basketball, that was white. And the best player on the team was the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. I'm 38 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And out of 38 years, only 2 white people was the best player on their team. And it wasn't a motherfucking debate. Right. What I'm saying is that wrestling is predetermined. It's not just because you're the best athlete. That's because you can. It ain't just because you can jump high. It ain't just because you got a good promo.
Right. Yeah.
It's not that. It's predetermined. So that's why. The second question: what is it about this profession that differs from the inner workings of other professional sports? Because it's predetermined, ladies and gentlemen. Predetermined. I ain't got to repeat what I just said. But here's another part of that. Being that it's predetermined, at the end of the day, whether we agree with it or not, this is entertainment.
Yeah.
So being that it's predetermined and this is entertainment, you have to pacify the people in the crowd. So if I look over at this crowd, what do I see in this crowd, Camp?
White people. A sea of white people.
A sea of white people.
Yeah.
So it ain't just what you see in your locker rooms or your bookers. It's the sea of white people that's looking. And to keep it a buck, and this is part of the reason why I'm glad we're doing this oral history today. A lot of white people don't necessarily want to see us leading the charge.
Let me piggyback off of that, because my answer is the same answer for the first and second question, and it's because white people support the sport of professional wrestling at a greater amount, both visually and monetarily, versus black people. That was my thing, and I think we've even talked about that like last year. Now, going a little further with that, also, I'm in the mindset that white people wouldn't gather to have a bunch of black people kicking white people's ass on TV or in arenas.
Matter of fact, before you even finish, here's my man, Jonathan Hood, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, Hood?
What's up? What's up?
You popped in right at the right time.
Yeah.
But before we get started, like I said, this man is the OG. The not just the wrestling OG, but the sports OG. Period. You've heard this man for years and years on Chicago Sports Radio, currently on ESPN 1000, Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday, and the cornucopia of a whole bunch of shows. When it comes to damn near every sport, there's a black man that's talking about it, and that black man is Jonathan Hood. What's going on, Hood?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. So what are y'all doing right now? Are y'all doing the oral history of Sonny Kiss? Because I'm ready. I got my notes.
We're not doing it. No? We're not doing the oral history of Sonny Kiss at all. But
I'm sorry, man. I'll see y'all later.
But you walked in at a perfect time. We was talking about Naomi Deserves Better. We was talking about Big Swole's letter. About black wrestlers inside of the sport. Why? For somebody who has watched this sport your entire life, being our black Gordon Soleil, you know what I'm saying, and being able to be a historian of this sport and interviewing the legends that you have interviewed. Why is it that black wrestlers feel like, especially this new crop, more this new crop, because I don't think I've really heard other older black wrestlers really talk about it. I mean, Mark Henry talked about how he loved riding with Yokozuna.
Right. Which I have a theory behind that as well.
You have, which you're going to talk about. But why is it that this new crop, especially if black wrestlers, have all of these questions now about why is the man holding them down?
Well, I think they have the license to do that now. Back in the day, you couldn't say those things. It just shows you that in this generation of empowerment, where you can be able to say and speak your mind, that's why this is happening. When you have black wrestlers like Leo Rush, we'll use him as an example, that feels that he could be able to call out the WWE, he's fine with it because of all these independent places where we can go. It's not quite the territory era of the 80s where you figure like, you know what, if Vince don't want me, fuck you. I just go to Dallas and work for Fritz. I'll go to Florida. I'll go to Puerto Rico. But the independent scene, you can be able to make six figures on the independent scene in a big way. So this is why we have the empowerment. See, it's wrestlers like JYD, Ron Simmons, all these great black wrestlers that led to this point where you can have that empowerment. And it shows you it's a different day.
So I am under, this is my opinion. It's not necessarily the person that's booking and stuff. I mean, of course they have the power and they're going to do what they feel, but I don't necessarily think a booker is going to look at that crowd and be like, let me go get this black person to be the head of this territory. Where there might be special circumstances, which is one of the people that we're going to talk about today, where he basically ran the South, period. And white people and black people was like, hey, I don't think that a white booker is going to look at that crowd and say, I need a black person. Right. And it's hard for me. It might sound, what I might say might sound bad, but it's just the entertainment aspect. It's kind of hard for me to look at a white booker and be like, force a black person on a crowd who just might be pro MAGA.
Right?
Like, it's hard.
You gonna send one of those darkies to beat our ass all night? You think I'm gonna pay for this shit?
Yeah, am I wrong for thinking that?
What you think, Cam?
Oh, I don't think it's wrong at all. Because literally, what I was saying right before you chimed in here, I was like, I don't think that a mass crowd, like a majority white crowd, is going to pay to watch black people beat up white people all night in a sport that's predetermined. They're like, oh man, so y'all deciding they're gonna whoop our ass tonight? Nah, we're not doing that.
I think it depends on where you're talking about.
Okay.
I think it depends on what you're talking about. All right. So, say for instance, we're talking about the South, where we're talking about continental, for instance, like in Southeastern, right? Okay. So there were no black people on top for a reason. Is because nobody wanted to see a black guy beat up on the Fullers or beat up on the Armstrong family and stuff like that. Like that wasn't going to happen. See, I think it's different though in 2020, but it all depends on where it is. See, wrestling fans are entrenched in the South, not Atlanta. Atlanta's not part of this. We're talking about in the deep South.
Pensacola, Florida.
Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Let's put that that's a perfect example because that is rural white, and that was a completely 100% white audience, as you well know from watching what the Gangsters did.
Yes,
and the stuff they had, like top 10 promo material of all time. The stuff that they were saying. When you have New Jack saying, "Hey, OJ, good job, OJ. 1, 2 more down." I mean, like that is unbelievable, right? But that got heat in those Smoky Mountains, and it's not like the metropolitan big cities in Alabama, Georgia, Florida. I'm talking about like in the rural, places in West Virginia, in those areas. That doesn't work. But I do believe in some metropolitan cities that still does work. But some of those other places, not so much.
Where the place where you can't be dark after dusk. Yeah, you can't do that.
Sundown towns.
Right.
Yes.
Because was it continental like Alabama?
Yeah.
Yeah. See? Yeah. You're not gonna be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, whooping white people's ass.
No, Jed and Mobile is not going.
No, and if that was the case, in the case of like a Brickhouse Brown, he had to be in a tag team with a white guy to be able to get that over. Right?
Oh,
it was never going to be a Brickhouse Brown in a singles competition against Ron Fuller for the championship, where Fuller's the heel and Brickhouse Brown's the babyface, and Brickhouse Brown getting over. Not to win a championship. Now, like they like you when you're doing a little dance and get a little momentum, might win by disqualification, but you're not winning the championship in some of those places. And there's a reason why Jim Cornette did not put an African American on the top of the card for the championship in those towns. Could you imagine New Jack being the Smoky Mountain champion?
Hell no.
They put it on a drug-addled Jake Roberts and gave him the title before they would give it to New Jack.
Hell, T.L. Hopper, was the dirty white boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
In Smoky Mountain.
It was over.
It was like, hey, that's my nephew.
He was called the dirty white boy, and sometimes was a babyface and sometimes a heel, but he was over. They loved that.
Yeah.
If you go on YouTube and find Dirty White Boy versus Tom Pritchard, is one of the greatest top 10 angles of all time. Check that shit out. Type it in. Tom Pritchard.
Okay, because I read. That was around the time where I was in the peak of my wrestling nerdom. And I was getting Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I go to Walgreens, buy Pro Wrestling Illustrated, mainly because I want to see the #1 contenders in all of the federation. Really, that's literally the only reason why I bought it, because I wanted to be like, yo, who's the #1 contender in New Japan Pro Wrestling? Kensuke Sasaki. Oh shit, yeah. Like, don't laugh at me. But I remember seeing the dirty white boy, and I was like, young, like, damn, they really don't like this white boy. They call him dirty.
Right.
I'm ignorant
because that's an insult. That's an insult where we're from.
I'm ignorant to what that really means at that time. But then I remember him going to the WWE as T.L. Hopper, and I was like, damn, that's the dirty white boy.
Yeah.
Oh man. These books, this magazine made him seem bigger than life.
Man, you're down there in Alabama, and you're watching the dirty white boy. You're like, for that audience, that resonated. Like, dirty white boy, okay, and that song, Dirty White Boy, right? And him, along with the Grappler, they were the Dirty White Boys as a tag team.
Yes.
And they were a very, very good tag team. But for that audience, that works. But no black people was beating them for a championship. That wouldn't happen. But wrestling has gone through this for generations, and in some ways, it's still happening now.
All right, so one of the main reasons why we brought Hood on there. First of all, we've been meaning to do this for a while, but since we're upgrading and doing a couple of different things, you know what I'm saying? Now we're able to bring him in a couple of different forms. And this was before all these tweets happened, ladies and gentlemen. I've been meaning to do a oral history on the Junkyard Dog since we have done this pod.
Yeah.
Reason why is part of the reason why is I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Junkyard Dog was over in the South. And when I mean over, there's a reason why Junkyard Dog was the second in the Hulk Hogan cartoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just because he was black. The Junkyard Dog was probably one of the most over wrestlers of all time. In a territory in Mid-Sout Wrestling, that was a hotbed. When Mid-South went through the transition, like half went to WWF and half went to NWA Crockett Promotions. And if you look at some of the mid-card wrestlers in both of those both WWE and Crockett /NWA /WCW, they came from Mid-South Wrestling. It's literally like they broke up and heaven came out for both of those joints. But one of the people that was heaven on earth was Junkyard Dog. And I was thinking, I remember seeing that somebody did something for the WWE for like black wrestlers and all that stuff. And I don't even think I saw him on there. It was a couple of wrestlers I didn't see on there. And I was like, wait a minute. I think we're disrespecting Junkyard Dog. And I think we need to talk about him. And I thought the perfect person to talk about Junkyard Dog and give us a history lesson, just throwing out some years, throwing out some stuff, and him telling us about it, is Jonathan Hood. So to kick you off, now you're gonna talk about Mid-South. It was something that when I got the network, I was like, wait a minute, he was here? Yeah. Junkyard Dog was at Stampede Wrestling.
Yes.
As a heel.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Okay, so I'm glad we're talking about the GOAT, even though it's the Junkyard Dog, because this is important for us as black people in wrestling. This is the guy at the top. This is the top. So before he goes to Stampede, just a quick detour. Okay. He starts off in Memphis, and that's going to have to be a topic on y'all's show, because if you were anybody, you went through Memphis first. Okay, so he worked for Jerry Jarrett, and Jerry Jarrett saw Sylvester Ritter. He was like, we're gonna call you Leroy Rochester. How fucked up is that?
Right. Yeah. Right. It's like, what? Like,
so Leroy,
the black people the worst names.
Rochester. Rochester. The connotation there is the Rochester from the Jack Benny show, where he was a sidekick to Jack Benny. So we're gonna call him Rochester, and Leroy is as black as they come, of course.
I told that was like a slave owner name. Like, yeah, you know what? Hey, my slave is free, and he gonna beat everybody up. That's how I took it. But no, thanks for that.
Yeah, that like from the entertainment standpoint, the Rochester is the Jack Benny.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Rochester, come bring me my fucking suit.
Right. That's what I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
So Big Daddy Ritter. I love me some Big Daddy Ritter. And I wish there was more on YouTube for Big Daddy Ritter, because that was the name for Junkyard before he became Junkyard Dog. So he comes to Calgary and he works with Stu Hart. So Stu Hart puts the championship on Big Daddy Ritter. But see, Stu Hart loved black wrestlers. No one talks about this. Luther Lindsay was his first guy. He liked muscular black guys and put them in a position on top, or at least toward the top of the card. Luther Lindsay was someone that Stu loved so much that he carried around Luther Lindsay's picture in his wallet and would show people like, hey, Luther Lindsay, he's one of my students, and and do that stuff. Like, he loved Luther Lindsay. So remember the type of wrestlers that would come to Stampede. Luther Lindsay, Bad News Allen. I'm still waiting for that show, by the way.
It's coming.
Lethal Larry Cameron, Rocky Johnson. He put black people on the top of the card or gave them the North American Championship. And so Big Daddy Ritter's part of that as well. So he comes in there, he's part of a stable. And the fans in Calgary, in Western Canada, would see him because JY would always be dressed to the nines. Nice hat. He always had a nice suit on when he wasn't wrestling, when he did his interviews, right? And so the fans in Western Canada will call him a pimp. So we're talking about like 78 to 80. I guess the Mac just came out in Calgary. So they thought that he was like a pimp. It's like I never remember Sylvester Ritter saying, stick yourself. I don't think that he was the Mac, right? So but they used to call him a pimp, and it didn't bother him. It's just part of the heat, right? So they put the championship on a Big Daddy Ritter. But I liked it because that was his best promo ability early in his career. He wasn't like, cha-cha-cha. He wasn't doing that. What he was doing was he was just expressing himself like, hey, you know what? When I take you on Bret Hart, when I take on Dynamite Kid, when I take on this guy, that guy, you know what? It's going to come down in Western Canada. I mean, he was good. And he spoke in sound bites, and he was really over. I like that. I wish there was more video of him doing that. But Big Daddy Ritter, pimp, not pimp, dressed well, yeah, that was over with me. I love that.
Nice.
So, first of all, that right there in itself, it seems like just a whole episode of Big Daddy Ritter in Canada, and just knowing a black man in Canada is running stuff, and some of those wrestlers that he wrestled are wrestlers that we revere to this day, which makes Stampede Wrestling just underrated in itself. You can look at some of that catalog on the WWE Network. So, does he go to Mid-South right after that?
Yes, he does. And the reason why he went to Mid-South is, well, I'll just quote from this book that I have in my the library. Right?
Hey.
So the book is The King of New Orleans, How the Junkyard Dog Became Professional Wrestling's First Black Superstar. It's written by Greg Klein.
Okay.
Wow. So here's how I'll just read from here just real quick, because someone had to be able to be the guy first before you could even consider putting a black man on top. But somebody had to be to start this, right?
Right.
So this is in 1978 during the tri-state era. This is where racist ass Leroy McGurk is the booker and the owner of the territory. So it says Carton 78, the Louisiana Superdome, a huge venue for a matchup with Ray Candy against Ernie Ladd. Both of these guys played professionally. You know, Ernie Ladd played for the San Diego Chargers.
Yep.
So they put these two on top in the tri-state area. It was a great match. But here's the thing. Because it was Ray Candy versus Ernie Ladd, as it says here, a wrestler named Ray Candy, a massive man with good charisma, but little in the way of wrestling ability, played a babyface. With a solid build-up and a good promotion, the event drew 23,800 fans and produced over $142,000 of gate revenue, both records for the group and outstanding figures for any wrestling promotion at the time. It was obvious to everyone in the tri-state area that he'd done an incredible job drawing black fans to the arena, and those fans erupted with joy when their hero Candy beat Ernie Ladd. So there were so many black people that came out to see this because it was a draw. Two black people taking on one another, that was so rare even back in 1978, right? So when you have Ray Candy against Ernie Ladd, McGurk afterwards asked Grizzly Smith, who was in the promotion, he said, the quote was, what do you think of the card? And he responded with a racial slur, in effect saying that he disliked seeing a crowd in a match filled with black people. And Grizzly Smith says it's not about their race, it's about their green. Talking about it's about the money.
Right.
It doesn't matter if they're black, people are coming to see it. Black fans went to go see Ernie Ladd and Ray Candy. So that's what put in Bill Watt's mind, I got to separate myself from Leroy McGurk because they were partners financially. That's why Watt split, made his own territory, and said, oh, if Ernie Ladd can draw, if Ray Candy can draw, I'm going to have my own black superstar, and I'm going to put him at the top. That's why you got Junkyard Dog.
Damn.
So you opened up a question I'm gonna ask a little bit later, because now it makes sense about Bill Watts trying to find the perfect or the black wrestler. Matter of fact, I'll just ask it now because was Bill Watts in charge of WCW when Ron Simmons became champ?
Yes.
Hey, that's exactly where I went. I was like, oh, so he was in control when they did the Vader Ron Simmons.
He tried to reprise what he did in Mid-South by saying we need to put an African American at the top of the card and make him a champion because it worked for JYD. And he did that for Ron Simmons in WCW.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm going to wait to that question because I was wondering and I was like, okay, if that's the case, got a question, but I'm going to ask that a little bit later. So the early days of Mid-South Junkyard Dog, did he shoot up? Like, did he shoot? Did they put the battery in his back, or did he have some growing pains, especially coming from Canada?
They knew that JY was limited. He was never going to be like Dory Funk Jr., Billy Robinson. He wasn't going to be that, right? But he was a power guy. And so the idea was to put JYD in quick matches, right? Put him out there for 3 minutes. Let him do some power moves. You don't do anything to JY. JY does it to you. 3 minutes out, 4 minutes out, 5 minutes out. So they were trying to build toward a superstar. If you put JYD in there for longer than 15 minutes, it might be a problem, because even in Calgary, he was good, but not to the point where he could last 15, 20 minutes to put an entertaining match on. As a matter of fact, we mentioned the grappler earlier, right? So the grappler, Bill Watts said, I want you to take on Junkyard Dog, and because I know that you're a good wrestler. So Lynn Denton, the grappler, goes out there, and they go like 20 minutes, almost Broadway, right? And Bill Watts opens the curtain and says, come here. He goes, boss, what'd you think of that match? He goes, that's some bullshit. Like, he goes, why? I thought it was a good match. He goes, I don't want you to wrestle JYD for 20 minutes. I want you to make sure that we can see what he can do, not what he can't do. He was pissed. He's like, why would you have JYD out there for 20 minutes knowing that you're the better wrestler? So there was a disconnect there, but it's always the quick matches. And so that led toward JYD being able to be in really good matches against Ted DiBiase, King Kong Bundy, Kamala, Butch Reed, wrestlers like that.
Wow. All right. So there was a match that I learned about where it just, when I heard it, I didn't watch the match because I don't know if it's on the network or not, but it just sounded like the most racist match of all time. At least at this point. Right. And of course, it got to involve the Freebirds and Michael PSAs. And we know that history, right? So, like, he gets blinded by like some hair cream or whatever. So it's almost like how we was talking about Rick Martel last weekend. Yeah. But it's like some hair cream or whatever. And I guess it leads to a steel cage match with Junkyard Dog and PS Hayes. So all I'm picturing is Michael PSA's coming down with the Confederate, with the Confederate flag, cape, and everything. You know, got the Leonard Skinner playing and stuff, and then you got Junkyard Dog coming down, boogie woogieing, and this is really the, this is what Jerry Cooney, Larry Holmes. This is black versus white. This is North versus South. This is everything we need in a match to make somebody out here. This is the Great White Hype, or the Great White Hope. I know that. I mean, we're going to talk about a couple of people. The majority of these people we're going to talk about is white until we get to one particular matchup that I thought was very interesting, leading to what you was talking about with Ernie Ladd and Ray Candy. So that comes full circle, but. What was it about Junkyard Dog, Michael P.S. Hayes that really ignited Mid-South?
It got him over. August 2nd, 1980. Got him over. So imagine, and this is like wrestling now in some ways. You take something that's real life and put it into a storyline, right? Yeah. JYD has his first daughter. He's his first child. It's a daughter. And they want to do an angle where the Freebirds always had that Freebird hair cream. Remember, they did this in Texas, the whole Freebird hair cream thing where Buddy Roberts lost his hair. You know, like he's in a match, loses his hair, put the Freebird hair cream on. Now Buddy Roberts is bald, right? So they did that back in 1980. Same thing, right? It's like, man, JYD's got his child, and the child is coming. But there's a match before the child comes. And so it's P.S. Hayes against JYD. And the Freebirds jump on JYD, and they put that Freebird hair cream all over his eyes. Now he's blinded. And now the child officially is here, but he can't see his child.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Wow.
And so think about that. Like, real life, his wife is about to give birth. And it's like, but he has a match beforehand. Now, because of that match, he can't see. officially it's in the newspapers in New Orleans. Like, congratulations to JYD and his wife on the birth of their first child, but JYD can't see him. Kayfabe so much. I believe at the hospital he had like that white wrapping around his face, so that way when he went to the hospital, they were like, "Oh, JY, your baby's here. I know you can hear him, but you can't see her because of what them damn Freebirds did the other night." You had to play that shit out to the hill. When you left the house, you had to have that wrapping on, right? Cam, you were blind. You were blind at the crib. You were blind at the grocery store. You're blind in the back. You're blind wherever. At church, you got to make sure that you're blind everywhere you go, right? And so, but at that point, that's when a star was born, right there in August of 1980. The Freebird hair cream, and that made it so big where PSAs takes on JYD and it explodes. It ain't nothing but money. All of it's money.
So if you're telling me this, the Freebirds got everybody over in the 70s and the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Because I mean, I guess it starts with to sidebar real quick. It starts with the Von Erich family. So it's almost like if you take on the Freebirds, you're gonna get all the heat. Well, you're gonna get all of the love you need to basically skyrocket you.
Yeah, that's what heels do.
Yeah.
Right, man. I mean, what do heels? What are heels in place for, Bang? They're in place to put baby faces over. It is if it's written properly, it is the heel that gets over, and he just keeps going at the baby face. Keeps going at the baby face. Every week on television, the heel gets over until the baby face gets tired of it, and now the baby face gets back. It's not 50-50. Yeah. This is weeks on end until the baby face gets his comeuppance. If it's written right, that's how it's supposed to be. It's the anticipation of how the baby face is going to be able to get back at the heel. And so the same thing here with the Freebirds, right? Every step of the way, Georgia Championship Wrestling, Mid-South, World Class, WCW, the same way. It's you build it towards something. So the crescendo is finally the heel gets his.
Okay. Man, we gotta have a whole topic about that because this is why I hate tweeners. Like everything that you just said, Hood, this is why I hate tweeners and why I hate everybody tries to be Stone Cold Steve Austin in '96. But fuck all that. JYD, Oral History, First Black Champ podcast. We'll talk about that another time.
Right. We'll have a nice, long, extended conversation about John Moxley trying to be Steve Austin in 2020. You're right.
Man. Dog. All right. Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, go. Let's go.
So this is when I realized the greatness of Mid-South. Yeah. It was the network, and they put up the Mid-South stuff, and you told me, watch. Like they got Mid-South out there, go watch it. So I go to Ted Dibiase, and I never knew about Ted Dibiase before the $1 Million Man vignettes. Like literally is what I learned from Ted Dibiase. Right, but Ted Dibiase was a former North American champion in the WWF, the WWF, back in the day, and then he's at Mid-South. And this is regular Ted Dibiase, ladies and gentlemen. Like, there's no $1 million nothing on Ted Dibiase here. In fact, Ted Dibiase is a good guy. He's like, okay, this is not usual. But then he turns heel. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot the name of the group that quick, but it was Ted Dibiase, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I believe Matt Bourne, who was Doink the Clown.
The Rat Pack.
Yes, the Rat Pack. And they were just beating people ass, ladies and gentlemen. So I started loving Mid-South as soon as I started seeing people run the rough shot on people. But there was a storyline with Junkyard Dog and the Rat Pack and Ted Dibiase. And they had a losers league town match, and JYD lost. Am I saying this correctly? He lost. And he becomes the black wrestler in a mask that you know he black, but he's in a mask named Stagger Lee. Tell us about that.
So that was just a weird thing where That's the first experiment. This is before Yellow Dog. This is before Hogan.
Okay.
This is before Hogan, puts a mask on.
Mr.
Before
America.
Dusty Rhodes becomes a Midnight Rider.
Okay.
All this before this, right? This is how you get JYD back into the promotion. He loses to leave town, and it's like, oh, so now Bill Watts got to think, when I have these shows, these spot shows and these cards, I still need to have JYD on the card, because if JYD's not on the card, then no one's going to come to watch the show, because JYD was on top. So we got to bring in Stagger Lee. And so Stagger Lee, and I remember the corny music they had for Stagger Lee was so weird, but they put a mask on him, and he wrestled just like Junkyard Dog to the point where they had swerved the audience. There was some kind of bit that they were doing, some kind of not an arm wrestling contest. No, I think it was like a powerlifting contest where they had JYD come out next to Stagger Lee. And it wasn't even trick photography back then, because we were talking about like 1980s, right? So it was just like they found like another black wrestler, it probably had been Sweet Brown Sugar Skip Young or somebody, and they put him in the mask next to JYD. JYD, I know that you're suspended. I know that you're going through. And he goes, bah, 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 like that, right? But it was quite a thing, because when Stagger Lee was out there, now people could say, you know what, that's JYD on the mask. I'm going to still come to the matches. And so it was smart. But then Dusty steals it for the Midnight Rider. He does that in Florida and does that in the NWA. Brian Pillman did that with the whole Yellow Dog thing. Yeah. Hogan's done it. But it started with JYD doing that at Stagger Lee.
Let's go.
Yeah, okay, so it started with him. That's dope. First of all, that's not only Black history, but that's American history, because you've seen that on many occasions. Right. But also, it was like a vignette that I saw where it was like Junkyard Dog, I think he was like outside working on a car or something. And they was talking to him, and he was just like, yo, I'm suspended. I got to do it. But I believe that my man Stagger Lee could get it done, and blah, blah, blah. And then they put it to Stagger Lee, and it's like him in a mask. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, this is Doom. These are the two black people in the organization. It ain't many of us.
And Bill Watts did the thing, like, because Skander Akbar and everybody else was mad. It's like, that's nothing but the Junkyard Dog. Right? And so it's like, and Bill Watts was like, well, you got to prove it. You got to prove that that's JYD. If you can prove to all of us that's JYD, then he'll be suspended for life or whatever the hell. And but they never proved it, of course. I
really wanted to watch that and hear somebody goes, but he's like the only black person here. Done. Like everybody played it. Everybody played it to a T.
Like we didn't see the guys back there.
It's JYD and Ernie Ladd, and we know it's sure as shit that's not Ernie Ladd.
Right? Yeah. What's going on here? Bill, is you dumb or you stupid? Like what? All right, so Junkyard. So before we get to his entry into the WWF, you talked about Ray Candy and Ernie Ladd. So it's almost like this comes full circle, because now you bring in the man that if you listen to something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, he would tell you that this man could have been the Intercontinental Champion because he was over in Florida. This man is the natural Butch Reed. Butch Reed is a big, massive black man. Pause. And he comes in as a face, right? But then we get what we eventually see as kind of like a transition.
Yes, it was big for Bill Watts to try to reprise what we saw with Ray Candy and Ernie Ladd. So to have two black wrestlers on top, right, in ghetto street fights, as they called them during that time.
Yes.
But here's the thing, though, and this is why it's about research and being able to just go on Daily Motion, WWE Network. No, WWE Network probably didn't have that. But you got to go kind of dig in YouTube.
Daily Motion be having all them joints.
The promos were very personal.
Ooh.
And of course, all of that was about heat, right?
Yeah.
So there's Butch Reed talking about how JYD is nappy-headed, ignorant, all these things, right? Any racial epithet that you come up with without saying the N-word, to try to make sure that everybody knew that he hated JYD. JYD say the same thing, like you greasy, the monkey stuff, all that stuff. And they were going back and forth. And you know that Bill Watts in the back was like, yes, say that shit. Say that shit. Stuff I can't say. But
talk all that black shit.
Yes. Say it. You know, all that stuff, right? This is not being coached by Watts. These two knew that we have a black audience in New Orleans. Sidebar, real quick. There was a poll that was taking place in the New Orleans newspapers, New Orleans Picayune, I believe, the newspaper in New Orleans. And the question was, who's the most popular athlete in New Orleans? On that poll was Archie Manning, was Pete Maravich, JYD, and like some other Saints. JYD won that by a landslide.
Wow.
I want you to think about Pistol Pete Maravich and think about Archie Manning. Yeah, the Saints weren't that good, but Archie Manning.
But Archie was a god.
Yeah, right. So he was that guy in New Orleans, right? And JYD won that poll by a landslide. That just shows you the popularity of him. To take on Butch Reed, though, and be able to have that was absolute money. And those guys both knew it. You have JYD, who's called an Uncle Tom, and all this other stuff by Butch Reed. And JYD saying this stuff about Butch Reed. And so it was great. All across the territory, they wrestled. And they had these ghetto street fights. And it was street fights because they couldn't have always just simple wrestling matches. Right. It is JYD after all, right? JYD probably can't wrestle, but he could fight you, right? And so Butch Reed was, again, someone that's unsung, that's underrated, and they made money, and it was great.
Man. And one of the things that I learned is, and this is what made me uncomfortable. Like there was sometimes like they have matches and he'd end up like in chicken feathers. They're like tar and feathers, my man.
Yeah. But you know what? The cushion of blow is a black person doing it. So
right.
Like if Playboy Buddy Rogers want to do some shit like that, I'm pissed. Was this Butch Reed? Was this Butch Reed? I ain't gonna lie. Hey, you know what? I don't know. Maybe there's something internal in me, but watching any other white wrestler do it would have sent me over the edge. But I imagine I would have been a huge Butch Reed fan, even seeing him in real time, because I was just when I seen him. I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Put some tar feather on him. Yeah, get him out of here.
So did the feud end before he went to the WWF, or did he leave right in the middle of it?
It ended, and JYD went and was wrestling Mr. Wrestling 2. Mr. Wrestling 2 just passed away.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
In Hawaii. And it's some unsavory shit about Mr. Wrestling 2 that
I heard.
About. No, you heard that too, right? Yeah. I didn't know that until after he passed away.
Right.
And
it was like, yo.
Yeah, like on Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday, I'm doing this retrospective. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday. I'm Jonathan Hood. We look back at the history and the life of Mr. Wrestling 2. Here's an interview with Gordon Solie. I'm cutting all this stuff up and doing this, and then I'm hitting send, right? Like the podcast is done. Like, ladies and gentlemen, that's our retrospective of Mr. Wrestling 2. And then I look through and see, pedophile. What the fuck?
Right.
Yeah. Hey, I was like, no wonder he wore that mask. Oh shit!
I was like, yo,
like God damn. I was like, yo, he was like, no wonder he had that fucking mask on the whole time. Like he's never demasked, like ever.
Like, whoa.
I did go back into it and be like, tag it at the end, like, and do it put a quick edit. Ladies and gentlemen, he was a pedophile. Thanks for listening.
Right, thank you.
I didn't do that.
Right.
Thank you for that retrospective.
Right.
So anyway, so JYD ends his time in Mid-South taking on Mr. Wrestling 2. Some say that JYD killed New Orleans. I mean, killed the territory. So JYD was so over. He was the Hogan. He was the Flair. He was the guy on top of New Orleans in that area for Mid-South. He takes on Mr. Wrestling 2. And people look at Mr. Wrestling 2, and his finisher is the knee lift, right? The $1 million knee lift. Right. It's like people in, black people, white people in New Orleans are like, there is no way he's going to lose to Mr. Wrestling 2. He was a good wrestler, but ain't no way he's going to lose to a knee lift.
Right.
So we get to the end of the match. That match is on YouTube someplace where JYD is in the corner and Mr. Wrestling 2 loaded up his knee pad and gave him that knee lift, and JYD fell like a tree in the forest, like straight back, and it looked so fucking phony. It looked so bad. And you can hear the audio on that tape. Fans were like, oh, 1, 2, 3. JYD loses that match and ultimately leaves the territory. The territory never survived after that. And this is when they put, and then Bill Watts was like, well, JYD is going to New York. He's going to WWF. We got to put Butch Reed as the guy. We made him the babyface. Nope.
It didn't work.
That. As Jim Ross told Bill Watts, you don't need another black Superman. You just need a Superman. And Bill Watts was like, nope, need to have a black guy on the top of the card. So we're going to bring in, we'll bring in Iceman King Parsons. We'll bring in Brickhouse Brown. We'll bring in, these other wrestlers. And it just was never the same because JYD was that special.
Right.
That knee lift ultimately killed the territory because fans was like, well, that's phony. Because this is what you believe. You believe then, right? But when JYD loses with a knee lift, they're like, no, that's fake.
Even then, people didn't believe in the knee lift, ladies and gentlemen. The knee lift. Even when I saw Jake Roberts was his finishing move before the DDT was the knee lift, I was like, "Oh, get the fuck out of here!"
Right,
the knee lift, like that.
Like, fan, like, yo, did you have reconstructive surgery on your whole leg, and that's why it
works? Yeah, it was I mean, just think of the three of us, like growing up in New Orleans, and we just there to see JYD. We go to the Superdome, we go to the Irish McNeil's Boys Club in Shreveport, and we're checking it out. And we see that, and we're like, why did JYD lose to a D lift? That's some phony shit right there. Right. So JY guys is always about his business, about his money too, right? Here's a story that a lot of people don't tell. As Vince McMahon started to come in and take over the territories, Vince wanted to take the best of the best. AWA with Vern, taking the best in Portland with Don Owen, taking the best from Roy Shire in San Francisco, the best out of Texas from Fritz Von Erich, the best out of Florida from Eddie Graham, because he was trying to put together his World Wrestling Federation by getting wrestlers from all over the country and building his roster as he takes over the nation, right? Takes over the whole world. JYD, 2 weeks before he left Mid-South, was like, he got the locker room together. He's like, all right, listen, guys, Vince coming. We got to get ready. We got to get ready, guys. We got to get ready because, listen, if Vince offers you a contract, man, you don't go. We got to be able to battle, man, because we're about to go national. And, UWF was about to go national, right? It was about to go national. It was syndicated at some point. But JY was like, we're going to get ready, man. I mean, listen, if Vince offers you a deal, go to Watts, get a better deal, but because we're together. 2 weeks later, he bounced.
Damn.
He found out what that wallet was. Like,
hey, he thought he was gonna get some main event money like ×2. And it showed up ×10. He was like, hey, you know what, man? You know that shit I was talking?
You know what? I was bullshitting, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So I got to go this plane, right? So I got this plane ticket, right? And like it's like, damn.
A Junkyard Dog go up in the locker room like, hey, man, I know what I told y'all last week, but Vince McMahon in that wallet is a lot deeper than what I thought it was. So, fuck this shit. I'm out. So now he ends up in the WWF.
Yeah.
He doesn't reach the as far as being the head guy on the card. He doesn't reach that level, but I mean, in a sense, he does make Black history because he is the first Black man to win a match at WrestleMania. Because at WrestleMania 1, he defeats Greg the Hammer Valentine by countout, I believe it was, for he didn't win the Intercontinental Championship, but he did win the match. However, and I've talked about this on this pod many times. I remember when I put up when wrestling gets racist, because I saw a promo from Greg the Hammer Valentine, a couple of promos, 1984, before and after WrestleMania. I was like, you know what? Maybe Vince saw those promos between Butch Reed and Junkyard Dog, and he was like, you know what? Greg can do those too. It's not a problem.
See what I mean?
Because there were some promos where he was calling him a mean old nasty black man, and he'd leave a mark in the mat and all that stuff.
Hold on, no, you gotta say it right. I'm going to leave a black greasy spot in the ring after I take care of that mean nasty black man. That's what he said.
Yeah, you're right. He did say that.
Yo, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
For context, this is 84.
Right. 1984, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Right.
This ain't 1980. This ain't 1975. This is 1984, and we get those promos. So as a wrestling fan watching, and from some of the things that you might have learned through the book or in the history, but asking you as a fan first, were you concerned when JYD goes to the WWF now? Because he's not Hogan, and they're not going to put him up against Hogan. Because they're both good guys. And then when you start seeing some of the things that Greg the Hammer Valentine was doing, basically as his introduction into the WWF at the, I would say, the zenith of wrestling at the time, like, was there concerns there too, as far as the racial angles?
Well, the first time I saw JYD is in the WWF. Remember, we didn't get Mid-South. I'm from Chicago. We didn't see. I read about it in the magazines. But I didn't know. I read about JYD, but I didn't know how strong he was as a wrestler in the South until we start seeing the videos and seeing how people responded to him. Yeah, I saw that. But here's the thing that is bothersome to me about that, and that is, if Valentine's going to say those things about JYD, how come that match is not at the top? How come it's not toward the top? You're saying those things to try to get heat, and you're what, like middle of the card? Yeah, that is Greg Valentine, right? So that was never the main event. Even when Valentine was the Intercontinental Champion, there was always A-Town, B-Towns. I don't think that JYD and Greg Valentine was the main event in some B-Town. It could have been Greg Valentine just as a wrestler without the championship and saying those things to try to get over. And I know how popular JYD was, but he never was in that top level of popularity because Hogan was always holding it down.
Right. So, but as we know, as we find out, JYD is not going to be in the championship picture at all. Matter of fact, I think as far as the WWE goes, he's there for, I think he left for like 88, 89, because I can remember around that time, that's when he goes like to NWA, WCW. But during that time, he's basically like a mid-carder. He's the guy that, the fans love. He see him doing the slammies, and all of that stuff.
Right.
But he's never in any championship picture after that with Greg the Hammer Valentine. So being that this is your first time looking at JYD for the 4 years that he's been in there, like, what is your thoughts on JYD when you're seeing him in the WWF?
Well, I liked it because there was still so few black people that you saw on TV in wrestling. As Thunderbolt Patterson would say, you can only have one nigger on the card.
Fuck him.
Right.
That's
a whole different thing with Thunderbolt Patterson. But the point is that since we only saw one, maybe two in a territory, I looked at it was like, okay, again, these were quick matches. Right. JY was never a great worker, but I liked that I loved his promos because it had energy. And I liked that he was there, especially on those cartoons, growing up seeing those cartoons and being able to see him with Hogan right next to him. I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. So now with the ice cream bars and the merch, those are the things that resonated with me the most, because I think that's where JYD was making his money. Not just the contract, the merchandise, the ice cream bars, the little Galoob deals, with the little dolls and stuff. JYD was able to get over there. He couldn't get that money in Mid-South, but he got into the WWF. So I liked him as a character because I read about him. I was excited about him, and I liked it because there were so very few on our TV on those territories that we'd watch for wrestling.
Okay, so his career is starting to wind down a bit. He goes to the NWA. If I can remember this correctly, he's in the. I think the first time I see Junkyard Dog, he's like in the crowd. And some stuff started to happen, and he goes into the crowd, and they're like, "Oh, Junkyard Dog's coming out. He's gonna help." Boom, boom, boom. But you don't really see him do much. And then, like, I don't know about the stuff in Mid-South, of course. But you see Junkyard Dog versus Butch Reed at the Clash of the Champions in New Orleans, and I'll never forget this. I'll never forget that, only because it makes sense now, but I don't forget. I remember this because I'm like, hey man, they got two black wrestlers wrestling. But then the other part of it is it seemed like to be bigger than what it was, because if I can remember correctly, I like Junkyard Dog had a jazz, like the New Orleans marching band that was coming behind him. And I was just like, okay, so it's not for a championship, and they got the band playing. Like, maybe there's just some weird WCW shit, because around that time they just be doing some weird ass shit. Like Oz is debuts on the Clash of the Champions, and shit, or whatever. But the one thing that I will never forget about the Junkyard Dog is that he did feud with Ric Flair for the championship. And I was shocked. One, I've never seen a black person go after Ric Flair. Never. And then it was Junkyard Dog, which at the time, to me, I don't know what it looks like, but in hindsight, he just looked like a big bloated black guy who does a headbutt. Now at this time. Yeah. But they do wrestle, and then they put him with Sting in them, and it's the dudes with attitudes. And I've made fun of this, the dudes with attitudes name on this pod many a times. One of the main reasons why, because Junkyard Dog was a dude with attitude, and I'm just like, ain't no black person gonna be a part of no group called the Dudes with Attitudes. Yeah. But then I can remember him going like wrestling in 6-man matches, because this is when NWA, WCW had the 6-man titles, and it was like him. If I can remember this correctly, it was Ricky Morton and Huff-Ass Tommy Rich, correct?
I believe so.
All right.
Huff-Ass Tommy Rich.
It's somebody that, look, I've said it, we've said it on this pod many a times.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what the hell was the draw, the look of Tommy Rich, but shit. It was weird.
Tommy Rich might be one of them Jim Cornette, one of them Jim Cornette cucks, man. That might be his end. Man, you never know.
I don't know, but like, he's the one NWA champion that I was always like, how? He's a jobber.
Jim Barnett really liked Tommy Rich.
Hey. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. But I'm then surely
champion.
That man, look, whatever float that boat. But then shortly after that, he ends. Shortly after that, he's out of the WCW. I think he pops up in like ECW like one time or whatever, and his career's over. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he had died in a car accident. Correct. So he didn't even die from, and I hate to say what I'm saying, he didn't die a normal wrestler death, where he just like had a heart attack or passed. Like it was a very unfortunate car accident. He's in the WWF Hall of, the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah. But this is the question that I had, which you kind of answered, but I wanted you to kind of to expound on it. Bill Watts is now in WCW. He's running WCW, and we finally get a black world heavyweight champion when Ron Simmons defeats Vader with the Power Slam for the world championship. And I always wondered, like, how did he get that spot? Especially with the Doom breakup, which that was the first pay-per-view I bought, Wrestle War 91. So there's always going to be a great memory for me. Not only that, Right after they break up, they interview a little black kid, and the black kid, they asked the black kid what was his favorite team, and he said Doom.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit. And they broke up. I felt that black kid because it was like me too. It was like, damn, y'all just broke the niggas up, huh? But then you got Ron Simmons. He goes on to have some singles wins, and he starts building up. But I want to go before Vader here. Because now it makes all the sense in the world. Talking about Lex Luger here. Now that I know that Bill Watts wanted to regain the glory of that and get a black heavyweight champion, now I ask, well, why did they do all of the bullshit with Lex Luger, knowing what they could have had, just putting the battery in their back like they did with Junkyard Dog? Was it something that I missed with the Ted DiBiase Rack Pack feud that was similar to what Ron Simmons did?
The Ron Simmons deal was that Ron had to earn it. But if it's going to be, it's going to be a black guy against a white guy for the championship, right? The black guy is Ron Simmons in this scenario is the babyface. Well, it just can't be, Ron, you're a great athlete from Florida State, and I'm going to take you off for the championship. No, it's got to be a racial component in it. It has to be, right? And especially with Harley Race as the manager for Lex Luger, it's just like, Ron Simmons, like that, like that whole thing. Like, there's no way that a black is going to be a champion, like that, right? And so, but they put Lex Luger on this plane, right, of this person who was arrogant. He was a narcissist there in WCW before he was in the WWF, actually. And because he had to be this terrible, horrible, mean heel, so that way you can, in a metaphorical way, say, shut up the babyface in Ron Simmons. That's why that dynamic worked. So I just think that's Bill Watts just trying to go with an old formula. When he was in WCW, a lot of his things that he did in WCW, he did in Mid-South. Some of it resonated, some of it didn't. But I think that putting the title on Ron Simmons was the right thing, just because Ron Simmons was a babyface and was over. Whether he was white or black, he was over and deserved it. And I'm glad that he did that. And I know Bill Watts has a very controversial past, but I'm glad he's able to do that. If I could, just one quick thing before JYD, before we close the chapter on JYD, I want to just mention, because now when we look at the end of JYD, it sounds like the end of Unsung episode. I look at JYD in his time in the WWF, and it's kind of like Vince McMahon just getting these toys and putting all these players together, not necessarily put them in a championship picture, but just a collection of wrestlers to say, here's my roster. JYD was over. He got JYD in the WWF because he wanted to draw in the South. Because JYD was a draw in places like Louisiana and Arkansas and Oklahoma and places like that, he once said, well, when we come down here, JYD's a draw. We put him close to the card, top of the card, but not at the top.
Right.
It didn't work because it was a WWF style. Nobody liked that soft-ass WWF style, even today, actually, but definitely back during that time. You mentioned WCW, right? He comes back to WCW because first, George Scott is the booker. George Scott was a guy from back in the day that saw JYD and knew how good he was. And Bill Watts then comes in and says, you know what? We're in New Orleans for this clash. That was that Steamboat Flair clash.
Yes.
Right? And so they said, let's go to New Orleans. That didn't draw, by the way. They stacked the card. Steamboat and Flair on top. JYD and Butch Reed. People remember that. So we're going to put this back on this clash. None of that drew. And that was a terrible match. It was terrible. It was so dark in that clash. You don't really realize there was only like 4,000 people there. Like nobody came to that clash in New Orleans because it was dead. The whole territory was dead. That area was dead. When he comes back to WCW, you saw the difference between JYD and the WWF and the NWA. You saw that. I mean, he had gained weight, dealing with drugs. He was
bloated.
Slower. Didn't have that same, didn't have that same Jew said he once did. And on top of that, shave the beard. How you gonna shave your beard, man? You used to have like afro and like mustache beard. You came there with just the mustache.
Yeah,
you knew it was over when it was no fro and no beard. That was it.
I'm old, man. I'm old, fam. Do you see? The one reason why I brought up Ron Simmons is because it seems like when it comes to black wrestlers, not skipping Bad News Brown because he's one of my favorites.
Still waiting.
We coming. We calling you back for that one. Because it's a thing. I only know of that little short time. Well, when I saw Stampede Wrestling, I was like, yo, he was cold. And I still think even before seeing that, he should have got a title shot against Hulk Hogan on a card and not in some house shows. But that's besides the point. It seems like to me the Junkyard Dog, the legacy goes from black wrestling goes to like Ernie Ladd and all of those guys to Junkyard Dog. And then skip some black wrestlers because they're not big enough to go to Ron Simmons. So what do you think what is Junkyard Dog's legacy? And do you see Junkyard Dog in a wrestler today?
The first question is, his legacy is the greatest drawing pure black wrestler in the history of our business.
And
that's just in the territory. This is no shot like Bobo Brazil, and Bobo drew in the Midwest. Bobo drew in Chicago, Detroit, wrestling for the Sheik in Detroit. Like he drew, Rocky Johnson drew, but not like JYD on top. That's his legacy. Like I don't know. I don't have the actual dollar figures not in this book either, so I don't know like how much he drew. But anytime, if you've ever been to the Superdome and you are drawing over 30,000 people almost on the regular when you go to the Superdome and you're on top. And this is only for 4 years.
Right.
JYD is the GOAT of black wrestling. And because of the drawing power. The JYD of today, Cedric Alexander. No, no, you know what? No, JYD was in a class by himself because of the way that he wrestled, guys. Like it was just completely different. People understood that you were going to get a classic match, but you're going to get power and you're going to get charisma. And you're going to have someone that if he just turns his head, people are about it. Black fans and white fans. And the drawing power of the black fan, buying a ticket, getting off their ass to go see JYD. That's the thing that resonates with me the most. Bobo drew, but it was a lot of white fans. And of course, in some places, like in the South, especially like Memphis, it was always segregated. We could only sit up top. I mean, we couldn't sit on the floor. That was always an issue in a lot of places around the country, especially around the South. So that's really who JYD is. I mean, as much as we talk about The Rock and talk about modern wrestling as far as African Americans now, it's not the same because JYD was the pioneer, the man.
See, I guess the only person that comes to mind for me, and I know you got your issues with the group sometimes, but like when I look at JYD, I look at Big E. I think Big E is. I think Big E is charismatic. He gives you the power matches. I just don't think that they put him in a position where he can be that.
I mean, part of it is the bicycle helmet haircut he got.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? He got a bicycle helmet haircut, so that's part of the issue.
I know Hood has his issues with. Oh,
I can't wait for this. I'm going to be completely silent. I want to hear what Jonathan Hood specifically has to say about Big E because I won't lie to you, Bang. He was the only name that kind of popped in my mind due to power and charisma, just those two attributes.
Yes, that's it.
But also, I also seen JYD in real time, in real WWF time, and that's all I knew. So educating myself on old JYD, I would probably get up and walk off also, but I do want to hear what Hood has to say.
I can't wait for Big E to turn heel on those other two.
I said it for how long?
Yes, because if he's going to be that guy, because we never even seen the best of him.
True.
I don't know what Big E can do. I have no idea. When you're stuck in a tag team, when he had his singles run in Florida Championship Wrestling, like, I don't know if he can go. I don't know. I like him as a heel because he's got the charisma. He's got the promo. He can do it. I get that. But just being with those other two and for them to justify that pancake flipping on their podcast, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. And I know they're like jet set to the Hall of Fame because Vince likes the idea that they move around and they dance and they flip.
Get down with their bad selves.
Damn. I'm like, no, like I can't. We can't be that in 2020. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Like, I know, like, in 10 years on First Black Champ, y'all going to be asking me, and we're going to do it like a whole legacy thing on them. I just can't, man. Like, I respect them that they're making money for their family and doing well, and they're, and they've been together for a long time, but it just, the racial component of what they are doing. Why can't they just be three baby faces that come down and just have a good time? Right. I don't mind the good time baby face.
Right.
Just the pancake flipping and the dancing, the all that stuff is just like, that's so 1984. How is it that you do this in 2020? We had to do that just to get on the card in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So why are we doing this now in 2020?
Right.
Why can't they come to Vince and be like, you know what? We want to be taken seriously. When have they ever been taken seriously? Kofi wins the championship, right? No, Kofi wins the championship, and I'm happy that he won the championship.
Right.
But they never gave him the full shot to be able to be that guy on top. A couple of taking on Randy Orton. How come it just couldn't have been Randy Orton against Kofi Kingston? Something that they missed out on 15 years prior, but then there's that racial component. Randy Orton saying that he's stupid to get heat in the modern day. Right. Come on, man. Like that. And, it just.
And plus, and to your point.
I just don't.
And to your point now in 2020, there's nothing that the New Day needs to do to get over now. Like, they're over. Yeah. They're over forever now. They can cut all the BS out and just do their thing. They can go out and do their thing because right now in 2020, 5 solid years in, you like New Day or you don't. So the twerking won't help. The rolling down the ring won't help. The pancakes won't help. Like, none of that's going to help. Like, if you're already invested at your amount, it is at your level. And it happens, I think, to every superstar. And please, everybody, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, there was a point where, like, yo, you like Austin or you don't. You like Rock or you don't. You like Shawn Michaels and DX or you do not. So it's nothing else that they're going to do to gain new fans. They're just going to be like, all right, yeah, I fuck with Dude. Well, I don't. I hope he loses tonight, and that's it. So a lot of the antics can ride out now because it's like, damn, how much stock do you have in fucking Betty Crocker or whoever makes these pancakes? Like, how much Bisquick stock do you have at this point? Because we see pancakes every fucking week. So
it's something that Sweet Brown Sugar Skip Young would have done, like the PYTs, the fucking jive tones, like that they would have been able to do stuff like that.
The jive tones.
Like, and I just think that for all of our criticisms of the current brand for the WWE, here's something that's a criticism. So you're not going to do anything new with the New Day, and if they are that important to you, that you could do more with them than just give Kofi a cursory title and not put him back in the title picture at all. Let's mention that as well. You take the title off of him and you give him a 7-second match with Brock Lesnar and you don't even give him not one bit of offense. If you really believe in them, then you would do something. And I just think that in the legacy of Junkyard Dog, who was over, right? You should be able to look at the New Day and say, we could do something different with them instead of, hey, those are the guys from the Bootios. And hey, that gets people up and clapping. And of course, clapping without rhythm. The majority of fans in WWE. And it's just kind of like, like it just, to me, and I listen to what they're saying, and they come across as really good guys and good dudes that you want to hang out with. But it's just kind of like, man, if you are over that much and you're around this company, can't you tell them, like, can you just kind of, you know, reimagine our threesome a little better than this? Can you just reimagine us as more than guys that can just dance?
Right. Or just, or Flair, I'll say, like, hey, yo, black people don't fuck with this. We got to do something else now.
Yeah.
Like, we
checking the job is over, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Like, we sold all the white, we sold the t-shirts to the white kids that we could. We sold every single fucking t-shirt to the white kids that we could. Black people don't fuck with this.
Right.
It's 2020. You see what happens in the real world. Can we please just go a different direction now?
You if you want to keep baby faces, that's fine, but you can be able to reinvent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hood froze. Hood froze, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But now to his point though, until he chimes back in. I mean, shoot, we got to watch Shawn Michaels be a rocker. Then he got to be the basically the pretty boy bully. Yeah. Then he got to be the Jesus freak.
Yeah. Stone Cold went from the ringmaster to the beginnings of Stone Cold, stalking Bret Hart a bit.
Yeah.
To being the ass kicker.
Right. The disgruntled employee.
Yeah, the disgruntled employee. Like, he's went through a different a couple of versions of Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock went from Rocky Maivia to The Rock to now I'm flashy with the glasses to the corporate guy. And a couple of other versions of the character. Shit. Who else? Shit. Undertaker.
I was gonna say Undertaker. Right. Undertaker is not supposed to be a character you can't even reinvent.
Right. That motherfucker reinvented the hell out of that bitch.
Yeah, it's like 11 of them.
Hell yeah, you went from no sale Undertaker to body bag Undertaker.
Yeah.
Then you go from body bag Undertaker to the different color. He went from wearing the black and gray to the black and purple.
Yeah. That purple robe is hard. I still want a purple Undertaker robe. If anybody sees the purple Prince of Darkness Undertaker robe, I need that. Like, I'm gonna wear that outside.
Like, he died. Like Yokozuna and them killed him.
Yeah.
And he came back. Yokozuna and Mabel crushed his face.
Yeah.
Came back
had the Phantom of the Opera shit, like with the, you know what I'm saying, with the lightning strike on it or something like that.
And I didn't even think about that. Thanks, Hood, because that's a great point. Like, even the Shield had a little bit of differences within their characters within the Shield.
Yeah.
Before they even broke up.
The Undertaker, by the way, when they did the whole thing with the Undertaker, Bruce Pritchard was like, "Are we gonna put the Undertaker on the cross?" And Vince was like, "It's a symbol, god damn it, it's a symbol, not a cross."
Yeah, he be having me rolling with that shit. When he did that, like, okay, Vince, I feel you. But you know what? And the thing about it, and I said this on the show a couple of times, Vince is the only person that'll change your character and make it look like that other character didn't exist. Because, Tony Atlas was the strongest man in the world, and then he ended up being an African prince wrestling with no shoes. Yeah, like, didn't even mention that this man is a former tag team champion.
Right.
Saba Simba.
Yeah, and again, more and to Hood's point, okay, so we gonna put him in a bunch of colors and dance.
I mean, it's amazing. This business, even up to 2020. We're holding up like JYD and The Rock as good examples of how to be able to make money. And now I just think the New Day could be a lot more modern, a lot different than how they're being portrayed. But they're good with it. Of course, they're making money. That's great.
Right.
But what does that do for the underneath? Like about all the other black wrestlers that you watch across the country, right?
Right.
They're underneath. They have to be able to do flippy moves and not necessarily have a lot of personality to be able to get over.
Right.
All right. So before we get you out of here, I got one last question for you, Hood. I mean, this is first Black Champ. Is there any other black wrestlers, younger black wrestlers that you have seen that, considering your background and your knowledge and everything, that you can say, This person might have it if they give him a chance.
That was going to be Leo Rush.
Okay.
It was going to be. Whether it was a manager or as a talent, it was going to be that guy. I'm thinking about Impact Wrestling, and I don't see it.
I like Chris Bay. Like from some of the stuff, I like him, but I don't know if it can.
I like Cedric Alexander, but he's just been buried. You know,
I hope he turns heel tonight. Paul
Heyman loved Cedric Alexander. He was pushing him.
Yeah,
of course. Like all the stuff he pushed, he just he took it away.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I said on the show last week, this is my hope tonight. And it's a double heel turn in a sense. Because while I'm cool with the MVP thing and things of that nature, like MVP is wrestling for the United States Championship, not Bobby Lashley, and I don't even think Bobby Lashley should be wrestling for it. I think Bobby Lashley should be back in the World Championship picture. However, I think that Bobby Lashley should see what is going on with the MVP and says, okay, I'm going to do a hostile takeover of the Hurt Business, and then they should jump MVP, and he look over at Cedric Alexander and he looks over at Ricochet and says, get y'all ass over here, beat his ass. And that effect, and then they get MVP, that gets MVP off of TV because he is a producer. But that gets him off of TV, and now you have Bobby Lashley, you have Cedric Alexander, and you have Ricochet. My only thing is I don't think Ricochet could be a heel at all. Cedric Alexander, I think he could, but Ricochet, I don't see heel in him at all. So you would have to make him a little bit arrogant. Maybe that'll work. What I say, Cam last week, I said his stumps has to be different. He can't be like heels don't flip. All right, so he got to change some things around. But that was my hope that Bobby Lashley basically takes the guys and be like, all right, this is the Hurt Business. This is what we're doing. Get him off of TV. And Apollo Crews too. So it would be. Go ahead.
You turned me around on MVP. I will give you credit because when he came back to TV, I told you, Bang, I think this is corny.
Yeah, you did.
I was wrong. No, I was wrong because you turned me around on because I thought he came across like, oh man, just got out of prison and goes right to the 50 and goes balling.
Yeah.
Like he's out of touch, right? It's like it's just kind of like, wait, he's still doing the same stuff he did before, but it comes across like an OG. And you know what? You're right, and I was wrong on that.
But at the same time, I think it's run its course a little bit. And it only ran its course because how you've put Apollo Crews up against him, essentially. So I think Bobby Lashley keeps, like, that would be my thing. Like, Bobby Lashley keeps the belt on Apollo, but he's running the team now. He's running the Hurt Business. So they jump him, and now you have Bobby Lashley, Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander. I'm not one of those people that are not fans of not putting putting black people together. I think if it works, you put people together how it works, not just because they're black, but I also believe that Apollo is on the road to bringing the U.S. title back to relevance. Right now, it's just a TV championship to me. But with the storyline, I like it. They got a new belt, so you got to do something with it. But I also believe if they let Bobby Lashley be Impact Wrestling Bobby Lashley, they okay. And he don't need a mouthpiece. He just needs the Hurt people. And they need to be the Hurt people. And they go up in there and they hurt people.
I like it. The obvious choice for 2020 for a black person to be pushed is Naomi. There seems like there's like something that's going on here where people are looking at Naomi like, how come she's not being pushed? See, during this pandemic era, you can try anything. You can even have Drew McIntyre as your heavyweight champion and nobody gives a fuck. Just try shit, right? And Naomi during this time, she should be on the top. There's no Becky Lynch. I don't know why she can't be in the title picture and have the championship. It's more than just her as an acrobat or someone who can dance. She actually can go. And I would like for her to be able to have a run at the championship. That's one person, when she comes on the TV, I'm watching.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's in agreement with it 100%. We were saying it, matter of fact, before you got into the actual show, I was saying that I'm thinking that still maybe Naomi's personal life is why we're seeing what we're seeing. It's kind of like maybe she's just keeping up appearances. It's like, hey, no, I'm still here. I'm just still handling life, you know, like between her husband and her family issues. I think she lost like a very close, I think, cousin that was like a brother or something to her, or sister, I forget. And then I think she had injuries as well, doing some changes. She seems very passionate about Black people, Black magic being her Black ass self also, and how that's going to work in the WWE. So I'm looking at all of that just from her Instagram and even on Twitter. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe just maybe she's just trying to keep appearances up. And whenever she makes her decision, that's when they hit the switch again. Because it did seem like she was going to win the SmackDown Women's Championship again. And then the legal stuff with Jimmy Uso happened again.
Yeah.
So.
Work it into the storyline, put the title on her when she's ready.
Word, yeah. Hey, absolutely. Hey, all for it. Makes 1,000% sense to me. So, yeah, I'm with it.
All right, so about the Sonny Kiss thing, you know, do you see Sonny Kiss being the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, defeating Stone Cold John Moxley?
Sonny Kiss has a better back bend than half the women I used to be with.
That's all right.
She got a better curve. Sonny Kiss got
pause of multiple pauses, but I am not going to lie. I was like, little homie limber as hell. They got to do something with this. Like he needs to be in Impact going up for the Impact the X Division Championship. All right, let me say this before we end this show, right? Because we're coming up against time. And this is nothing against Sonny Kiss. I don't want nobody to listen to this to take this the wrong way.
Uh-oh.
But here's my biggest issue with AEW. This has come up on Twitter a lot lately. And I've said this on the show too. This is to say Cody Rhodes should know better, because I predicted that his career in the WWE will go down the drain as soon as he married Brandy Rhodes. And what the fuck happened? It went down the goddamn drain.
It's an episode.
Literally, that's an episode. Literally, hood. I said when he went on that 2-week vacation, I said it's a wrap. And he was Stardust soon after that. All right. He should know better. He has a black wife. He should know better. Sonny Kiss is the most relevant black male wrestler on that program. And it's nothing against Sonny Kiss, because I don't want nobody to say I'm saying this because he's gay. Because there are a lot of your favorite wrestlers like men, ladies and gentlemen. You just don't know it.
Yes,
you just don't know it.
You watched Cameron Grimes too last week. Huh?
Right.
A lot of your favorite wrestlers like men.
I was like, oh, wow. All right.
Oil, damn.
Yes, he's like, oh. A lot of your favorite wrestlers like men. You just don't know it. But when I look at that roster and I see only Sonny Kiss, I said, what the fuck is wrong with y'all over there? Because it's no inclusion in that bitch. It's Chris Jericho, Cody Rhodes, the Super Kick twins, as I called them on there on many occasions. Kenny Omega, Brian Cage. I could keep going and going. Taz is not black, ladies and gentlemen. He's Italian. Keep going.
I don't know where that started.
Yeah. I was really hoping y'all can answer that for me. I was like, why do people think Taz is black?
I have no fucking clue.
Like, is it because he's from Brooklyn? Like, is that?
I have no fucking clue. Like, I even said that Scorpio Sky, and it's not even Scorpio Sky. The most relevant black man on that roster is Sonny Kiss right now. It's not even Scorpio Sky because now they're not the champions. So SEU is really like 5th right now in the tag team shit. Especially so they're getting lost in the shuffle early. Yeah. There's no black inclusion in that shit. Maybe some of the black wrestlers in the WWE got to go, you know what? Let me just go ahead and get out of here and get that Black Lives Matter employment from AEW. I don't know what it is, but they have no black inclusion, and it's wild to me.
Well, I want to chime in on this here real quick before Hood goes, because one of the reasons why I don't really watch it every week is because AEW feels like PEW to me, Pander Elite Wrestling, or Pander Entertainment Wrestling. Like, there's no black inclusion because it feels to me like homie that with the Jaguars and Cody, they watch the timelines and say, what are people upset about? Okay, well, we got to start working that into a storyline. So whether it's transgender, whether it's gay, whether it's black, Hispanic, women, Me Too movement, I believe that they just sit on Twitter, watch what the gripes are, and watch what Vince McMahon is like. Look, I'm Vince McMahon. This is WWE. I ain't got to do that shit. And they start doing that shit. And that's why it looks the way it does to me. Like, I can't even blame the talent to a certain degree. But the lack of storyline is literally because they're pandering to a new audience every month in an effort to get them to whatever the gambling pay-per-view tagline will be, in my view, from watching it.
Undercutting black wrestlers on Turner Television. Never thought I'd see that in wrestling. Oh, wait a minute. Anyway, nonetheless, as I said in WWE, the whole Sonny Kiss thing for me is just, for me, it's lack of storytelling. Like, I don't watch AEW Dark. I got a mortgage. I'm busy. I got 5 jobs. I don't have time to watch AEW Dark, okay?
Yeah.
So, I am aware of Sonny Kiss, but for Sonny Kiss to just appear on my AEW Dynamite show, it's like, well, this is a contender for Cody's championship. Okay, well, I need to have some 2 or 3 weeks of momentum for.
How did he get here?
To beat somebody.
Right, exactly.
Somebody. I've never seen him beat anybody, so I don't like. And so he's there, and like he does the cheerleading better than the cheerleaders before the match starts. And it's like
he did. It's like he did the whole routine.
He did it better than Jaguars cheerleaders, and I'm like, all right. All right, 2020, I'm good. Swallow it, swallow it. Okay, good.
Right.
So now we move forward and we watch the match, right? And it's just kind of like there's some moves here. You know, he's got a forearm that I've seen on 79th and State when 2 women are fighting. So I've seen that, the nice forearms, whatever, and like doing the splits, at a moment's notice. That's good. But Cody gave Sonny Kiss so much that it was awkward in the match.
Yeah.
Like you get like you're the TNT champion with that, with that aluminum can title that my grandfather used to crush to try to get.
That they said that they was supposed to have been upgraded about a month ago.
Yeah. And so I'm watching the match and they're just kind of like, well, what did I get out of it? Like, and Sonny Kiss says, well, I won, even though I lost, I won. Like, yeah, you got some time, but I didn't see much. I didn't see enough. I like that. Like, if you wrestle, I want to see more of it. And so it's funny that you mentioned it because when you take a look at that roster for AEW, and it's kind of like, well, who is over of color? Pineapple Pete? Don't never see him. I saw that dude. I'm like, I don't even know who that was. The sister that was on Dynamite that got beat in 5 minutes in that tag team match.
Big Swole.
Yeah.
No, not Big Swole. Like the one with the blonde.
Yeah. No, it's another girl.
Yeah, I don't know who she was. She was.
I happened to flip one day and seen her.
I remember the one girl that I talked about on the show that looked like she from out west.
Yes.
That's the one.
She got blonde hair now? Oh, okay. There you go.
Yes, I don't know her. And then
I swear she looked like she looked like somebody from out west I nailed. That's why. Like,
and Swole is like one of the best promos in the company, but you only see her in these skits. And she's battling Dr. Britt Baker, who can't wrestle. So what is the angle there? you are talking to someone who can't wrestle. When's the match? Oh, it's not going to happen until like November, December. So what's the point of that? And then when you see it, what is that match? It's storytelling and lack thereof.
All panders matter.
Yeah, I said that AEW has a storyline issue. I've said that it's no continuity. I said that the only storylines that have any type of continuity is it seems like to me like when a tag team comes and they go to the super kick twins, and then none of them have titles. So it's like your storylines are built around grudge matches. Even Brian Cage comes in and he defeats everybody just to have a towel thrown in by Taz. It makes no sense.
So like everybody watches Impact Wrestling, right? So if I'm an AEW viewer, so I know who Brian Cage is. I don't know who Brian Cage. I know who he is, but say I'm just an AEW fan. Well, who's Brian Cage? He wins one match, climbs a ladder. Now he's in the title picture, and he gets the towel thrown in. So now what? What happens now?
What happens now? And because you have that system of the number one contender, like you don't even you kill the opportunity of having continuity in storylines, because now you have it where that person loses, he goes back. So now it's going to be who's the champ. It's going to be Jon Moxley versus I'm not even trying to think of anybody high on the joint. It's going to be like Jon Moxley versus Colt Cabana for the world championship, only because since Colt Cabana has gotten with the fake Ministry of Darkness, he's not lost a match. He's undefeated. So now he's undefeated. He's the number one contender. Nobody wants to see Colt Cabana versus Jon Moxley for the world championship.
I don't want to see them for anything, anywhere right now, where it sits. And no disrespect to either one of those guys, but this is a match. That's a match you don't even pick on WWE 2K. Like, why would you even?
That's true.
That? Like,
that's true. I mean? Well, man, this has been a show that has quickly become one of my favorites, just going through, because I think I learned a lot around Junkyard Dog that I didn't know before. We love doing these oral history joints, but on this one, I thought it was very special because I think as we get older, so we forget about certain people, and we can't let nobody forget about quite possibly the greatest of all time when it comes to the colored folks. We talking about Junkyard Dog. So thank you, Hood. If you want to get some knowledge, don't just look at the WWE Network. Like I said, Daily Motion has a lot of that stuff on there as well. So shout out to the European wrestling fans that's out here that's grabbing all of that content. Go to YouTube and follow a couple of people on Twitter that be throwing them joints out. When we retweet them, they be throwing them old tapes out. I think my man name is Richard. I can't remember my man name, his Twitter name, Mass Wrestler something, but
Mitchell Land.
Yeah, Mitchell Land. I love his Twitter feed because he even put the jobbers on there too, and you'd be like, damn, who is this one? But then we got our Jobber Hall of Fame. Shouts out to Iron Mike Shark and Barry Horowitz. So, Hood, man, tell the people where they could reach you, where they could listen to you at. Give them all the details.
My wrestling content is Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday. Airs every Tuesday night on ESPN 1000 in Chicago. You can follow my Twitter feed at Wrestling TWT. Again, Wrestling TWT. And there's a YouTube page, youtube.com, Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday, and on Instagram as well, Wrestling TWT. It's a long-time wrestling fan. Trying to get with this modern wrestling, and the last episode I did was a review of the NWA in '89 without Dusty Rhodes. We talked to Chris Zellner from the Pay Window podcast. I talked to him about what life was like for the NWA without Dusty Rhodes, as he went to the WWF and had polka dots. And so it was a whole Steamboat Flair on top, Wyndham Luger, that kind of thing. Midnight Express. So we review NWA from '89 and what life was like without Dusty in the last episode.
Yo, 89 was kind of a lit year though for me, for NWA WCW, because that Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Sting starting to come up, Lex Luger starting to come up. I was on my WGBO 66 wave, looking at all of the stuff and asking my parents, "Hey, can we go to the UIC Pavilion to see this?" And they're like, "Nah, you just gonna watch it here on WGBO channel 66." So yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out that pod, because I even think that's the most that's the most I go back to for WCW. Like the year I go to the most on the network, I always go to 89, because even like the War Games matches and things of that nature, like I think it was lit, and I think it kind of started to go downhill from there until we get to the NWO. All right, man. Matter of fact, we do got a pay-per-view tonight. Without going through that, do we have any guarantees? Hood, I'll start with you on the guarantees. Do you have any guarantees tonight?
Guarantee that no one's eye is actually going to be taken out in this matchup. Like it's going to be, I guarantee that no one's eye is going to be taken out, and we're going to see 3 cinematic matches. 3.
Okay, that's one of them. I think the eye for an eye match is going to be one of them. I said that my prediction, actually, me and Camp kind of came out with the same one, that no eye is going to be taken out.
Right.
But my prediction is, my guaranteed hope is that Seth Rollins gets some, now thinking about the Freebird, gets some cream or something on his face, where he now has to wear a mask. So he becomes Dashing Cody, like the Dashing Cody Rhodes. He becomes, when he get his nose broke by who? Rey Mysterio. Now he's disfigured. And now he's really trying to burn it down, and he has to wear a mask to cover up his disfigured face after Rey Mysterio tries to destroy it tonight at the horror of shows of Extreme Rules, blah, blah, blah. So we're on the same page. Nobody's eyes getting taken out.
I love when 2 Latino wrestlers go at it. It's going to be great.
Apparently this Bruce Prichard does too.
Right, he likes his Latino wrestlers.
Cam, for real. This, we talk about black wrestlers, right? For our first black champ, this is the renaissance of the Latino wrestler.
Hey,
Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio, the OG for the Latino wrestlers, right?
Yeah. Along
with
Andrade and
who are the tag team champions? The women.
Well, they will be the tag team champions too.
Andrade and Hector Garza. I mean, not Hector Garza. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Angel Garza.
I mean, that's his nephew.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And then you got a Lucha House Party. I mean, hey, look, the whole first half of the WWE has been the Latin American Challenge for at least 30 minutes every show.
And who are the SmackDown Women's Champions?
Bailey.
Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey. Yeah, Bailey is one.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Bailey and
Sasha Banks. Because she is part, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, hey.
All of them.
That's true. Yeah, wow.
Damn.
Hey.
Come on, Stas in this bitch.
You know what I'm saying? Right. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look. 2019, we had our turn, you know what I'm saying? With the blackout, with the black wrestler blackout. Now we getting the Latin American challenges every week, and we got, you know what I'm saying, Latin pride, brown pride is on.
And Sasha could float, like Sasha could float in between black excellence and Latino excellence. Zelina Vega, shouts out to her, like, man.
Yeah, bing, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Wow.
Damn.
Right, Latinx. Hey, before my guarantee is there will be a heel turn tonight. I got my thoughts on it. I said that, they should turn on MVP. I don't think that's going to happen though. But I think there's going to be a heel turn tonight. Can't really say who, but we're going to get a switch tonight. Also, here's my other guarantee, and this is going to shock some people, but my guarantee is I'm changing one of my predictions. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Dolph Ziggler wins tonight.
Really? That's what you got? Hey man, I
look,
like I should leave too.
Look, when the Rock put up that comment, when the Rock put up that comment in his Instagram of him with the title, and the Rock commented, and he commented in a nice way, like a good way, like, yeah, you know, blah, 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 blah. I said to myself, hey man, that's a red herring. That's a red herring. Wow. I got a feeling that Dolph Ziggler is winning in a tables, ladders, and chairs match tonight.
That's the match?
Yes.
Oh, well, shit. See, I didn't know the stipulation. I knew the stipulation. I thought it was going to wait till the pre-show or some shit because
that's the word.
Kind of been off the.
That's the word. It's supposed to be a late tables, ladders, and chairs match. I wouldn't have thought that. I had this a short match, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
But when The Rock commented on that Instagram, I said, "What the fuck?" I'm not saying he gonna have that bitch for a while. He's gonna be a transitional champion, but a champion nonetheless. I'm changing my prediction. Dolph Ziggler winning tonight. Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, shit. I mean, man. You know what? Tonight, man. I mean, this is a softball layup there. I'm not even gonna act like I pulled in my brain so deep for this one, but I think especially with the Last Ride documentary and all that taking shape, I think tonight Bray Wyatt just proves that he's this era's Undertaker, and he just and another moment tonight is created to solidify that. That's it. I mean, and I also don't think the pay-per-view will be as dumb as it sounded to me when I seen the horror show whole shit. Like, I guarantee it won't be as dumb as it sounded to me, but I also think that tonight Bray Wyatt just solidifies, like, yo, no, like, I am him. I'm that guy right now. You know what I'm saying? This is what I do. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
A dude that never needed the WWE Championship. He
never.
Is this era's Kevin Sullivan, Raven, Jake Roberts,
yes.
All those dudes wrapped into one.
Yes.
Never need the championship. Never should have been the title picture. Should just be a crazy dude that's on top.
Yes.
But they messed it up early. But we'll see what happens.
True. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. 1,000%.
Well, again, Hood, man, thank you for jumping on the pod. I think this is good. I think when we look at Twitter, as we always do, this is going to be one of those ones. This is going to be one of those ones that if you and for those who, if it's uploaded today, remember tonight, Camp from the Port is going to be live here on StreamYard. Mook said he down, so I'm gonna I'm gonna create the joint today. I'm gonna put it up in the group. Whoever wants to join, we're gonna do a watch along here on our platform on the First Black Champ joint.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be watching the pay-per-view. I'm going to be on the plane. Because I'm going to be going home. I'm going to be on the plane. I'm going to try to jump in, if possible, on the plane. Because I'm going to try to hit up that the $8 internet, the $8 Wi-Fi on Southwest to see if it works. But I'm going to try to jump in tonight. Hood, send you the link too. We're going to send you the link too so you can jump in and we can watch along and get the expertise. But tonight, Extreme Rules, the horror show, aka Creep Show, Amania. AKA Tales from the Dark Side, Slam.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we gonna do that tonight. So, Camp, do what you do. End us off.
All right. Hey, so as always, everybody, if you ever want to talk about wrestling in an unconventional way, you do so by checking out the First Black Champ podcast. Camp, Bang, special guest Jonathan Hood, and we are out.